Hey everybody, it's Beerdy here. What's going on, guys? Okay, so today I'm going to reveal the biggest secret about Bruce Lee that no one knows about. It's a secret that only I and a couple of other guys know about. I've known about this for a few years and I've researched it for a few years now. I've coined the term Meta Man, and I'll explain why I call it the Meta Man. You see, Bruce Lee, when he fought you, he didn't fight you face to face. He detached himself from his own body and would watch the fight in a third-person perspective. Yes, that's right. He did this on Dan Inosanto. That's how I found out about this. So this is an old Buddhist technique that somehow Bruce Lee picked up. I tried to find out how. It's simply impossible to get an answer. Not even Dan Inosanto knew. Okay, so no one knows how Bruce Lee picked this up. But he would detach himself from his own body in a meta position, watching the fight from a third-person perspective, and simply split up his consciousness. So half of it was in his own body, fighting you face to face. The rest was in a third-person perspective. Now, this is also scientifically proven, because if you have a traumatic event, for example, you get sometimes a derealization or an out-of-body experience, but you can't control it. Now, controlling it requires incredible power. I mean, incredible brain power. And most people don't have that kind of power. But obviously Bruce did. And he picked up this technique from Chinese Buddhist monks somewhere, because they're the only people that know about this technique, especially in this scale. That's the only logical explanation that we came to. He must have picked this up when he was living in Hong Kong. So how did he do this? Well, okay, here's the mechanism. You make a 3D map of the environment. Because obviously Bruce wasn't literally, his consciousness wasn't literally hanging over you and watching you. What he did was create a 3D map in his head of what was going on in his environment. Like the show Daredevil, you know, the rain and sounds and molecules in the air, he creates this 3D map in his head. So Bruce would look at the environment where he was fighting. He made a map in his head of what was going on, and the rest is just anticipation, guys. He's not doing anything magical. This is just anticipation. It's like a chess player when they play blindfold exhibitions, you know, like Magnus Carlsen, he's playing against 30 guys blindfold. He's anticipating what's going on. He has the boards in his head, and he's playing such intuitive chess that he knows what's going on. And that's what Bruce did. He was fighting so intuitively that he knew what was going on. He anticipated every move. And he could do this from a meta man position. That's the most extraordinary part here. And that means that this explains when you see one of my videos when he's fighting blindfold, for example, and still kicking people's asses. He makes it look so easy even when he's blindfold. That's because he's going on complete intuition, and he's doing it from a meta man position. So of course a meta man will never be perfect because the environment around you can change, but when you split up the consciousness and you have half of it in the first person perspective and the half of it in the third person perspective, it works. Because everything that's changing in the environment is also being sent to the third person perspective. So Bruce Lee literally had an unbeatable technique, and he performed this on Dan Inosanto and just left Dan Inosanto speechless. He didn't know what was happening because Bruce Lee was anticipating everything. It's like he was reading his mind. But he wasn't reading his mind, he was actually just watching the fight from a third-person perspective. So he was one step ahead all the time. Now, I mean, getting to achieve this state of consciousness I mean, the people I talk to that are Buddhist and have, meditated and tried to achieve this level, they said that, I mean, this takes a lifetime to achieve. But in Bruce's case, he achieved this during his adulthood. He was in his 30s when he passed away. So I know for a fact that Bruce Lee didn't practice this technique before he moved from the US to Hong Kong, because no one in the US knew about this technique. He had to have been in contact with these old Chinese Buddhist monks to learn this technique. Bruce was always striving for perfection, and it seems like he found it, because this is the most perfect technique I've ever heard about. I mean, he would have been invincible in a fight. No wonder he was undefeated his whole life. So combine this Meta Man technique with his speed, agility, power, Jeet Kune Do, everything. He is just the perfect fighter. And if he was alive today, he would have been undefeated in the UFC for decades. So there you go, guys. This is the biggest secret about Bruce Lee that has never been told. And now you know. It's the Bruce Lee Meta Man.